so many people looking for work right now. And it sounds good to find a job online that is maybe hybrid or a remote position. And let's just say that's you and you're looking for a nice gig, maybe a part time position to supplement your salary. Things are picking up and you see all these remote jobs and you're getting all excited and dropping an application, but nothing ever happens. Maybe you'll get some feedback from that company. And if you're not like some of us, you don't check the background of the company, go to their website and see if it's something appears to be just not right. And sometimes if you get, like I do, I get that feeling that sometimes a good thing is a good thing. And sometimes a great thing may also be a great thing. And sometimes too good, there is such a thing as too good to be true. And you go to your job postings, you go to all the platforms you normally sign up for, and the jobs, they just look plentiful. There's so many out there. And you get that one response, and it requires you to jump to some hoops, and then you're all hopeful and you're all set. They even set you up with the financial side of the house, like how are you going to get paid for that job? It could be through your PayPal. It could be a direct line to an account, but it's usually something like PayPal. And some of the remote companies that do that I've looked into. But then you get no work assignments, which is very interesting. On the other hand, there are plentiful of jobs that are set up as remote that you can have right now that are pretty much legit, but that the money goes to another country. It doesn't really go to you because you're not going to get hired because someone else has already set that up to send revenue to individuals in another country. And what if I told you that this is done by design? And goodbye to those remote jobs you thought that were so convenient, that helped you maybe get some sort of a control over your life, like give you more flexibility, and only for the market to shift in a completely different direction. And which direction would that be? I'll give you I'll give you three guesses. It's only really one. I'm leading into this being a scam, and not just any scam. So, from the Department of Justice, there have been some investigations ongoing, and this is not going to stop anytime soon because it seems that numerous companies in the United States have been infiltrated by North Korean operatives who are basically working from the inside and perhaps in legitimate positions in the companies. This is part one. Part two would be someone, a foreign actor who is in the United States, albeit legally. Let's just say they have legal status or illegal status, one way or the other. They can open up a front company and then collect as many computers and other electronic equipment. And yes, I'm touching back with my previous video about surveillance surveillance being conducted by foreign entities of U.S. diplomats. But now it's also even more dangerous that these companies, they're legit, and some may not be, but they all report to the North Korean government. And mind you, that anything, and of course they have some Chinese partnerships. If you know enough about North Korea and China, everything that is done with a military purpose, meaning that whatever monies go from the United States to their countries, that goes to feed military programs. The military runs everything, and this is not just regular entrepreneurship. And a case was it was actually pretty big news at some point at the beginning of the year. I believe it's January of this year, and there were two Korean nationals whom the Justice Department filed a complaint because they were running a scheme that ran really deep, not just sending remittance to Korea through some US job-based activity. This is Koreans actually working remotely for North Korea via PCs that have been issued by companies here in the United States. These are not the people that they're posing as have been convinced by the person on the inside in the company in the US that the individuals who are working remotely are within the United States and not working from North Korea. That's pretty much the scheme in a nutshell. But this goes so much deeper. DOJ they're on their list. They're not listing what companies, but it includes Fortune 500 companies. They also have a California-based defense contractor, and they have been fully infiltrated, meaning that when that individual, I wouldn't call him a spy, but definitely the insider goes for that job, and they're working for the company, and they get a company laptop or any other equipment issued to them, that becomes basically an equipment that's going to be used by North Koreans to siphon American dollars to go to the country. And sometimes some of these companies, they produce sensitive products for the United States government. And that's one big danger. Again, even trade secrets, like I spoke about previously. Corporate espionage, did I not say that it's a thing? It's stronger than ever. If somebody can't steal, bad actors cannot steal state secrets, they can steal definitely technology from companies, not only robbing them from their own revenue, but in the end, it hurts jobs. And it also hurts the company's reputation. And it could lead to hurting overall, to be a danger to national security if these companies do work with the US government. And I also want to mention that some of these companies may be affecting virtual currency. So back to the cryptocurrency video that I made recently. Insurance companies, do they know about this? They're kind of sitting on the sidelines. I don't want to jab them in the eye, because insurance, it exists for a reason. But this is such a niche sector in the financial industry. And military technology is affected mostly. So this is basically more to infiltrate defense contracting, if you stop to look at it very carefully, but also just regular old-fashioned industrial espionage. Whatever they can steal, they'll take. And with that, our money goes to the bad guys. And with the arrest of two Korean nationals in January, there was a little hubbub, but some of these stories, they just died down very quickly. But now they picked up hundreds of laptops that the FBI has seized from some of these companies, and they have been compromised. So we have the other layer of misery, has to do with individuals who are capitalizing on these schemes. They work in the periphery of the schemes. They're not directly associated, but they actually have laptop farms. And they had at least two individuals that worked in conjunction with these schemes to provide laptops. Did I not say guard your electronics? I say it all the time. Just any company issued device has to be carefully looked at, and companies have to have tighter controls on how they hire remote workers. So that goes your job. The North Koreans have that remote job you want. You're an IT person, you do a desk help, technician, that sort of thing. That those jobs, you might as well not look for them. Because honestly, I even see them on the job boards. And if I type in a search, and I'm not going to show the page because I'm not really showing company names specifically, and they may not be a foreign entity running any kind of a front company, but I don't want to get to that point. But you see a lot of analysts, power market modeling. I'll read you some of the job titles. And when I type in the search parameters, it's basically North Korea and remote. So if I put remote as a location and North Korea, that's all I typed in. And one of the main online job boards says generative AI specialist, humanities, English and Korean. These are all remote, completely remote. and someone in California, another analyst position, power market modeling. And then you got, of course, some are defense contractors, and these are senior intel analysts, Asia Pacific, and the list goes on and on. Everything is remote and really hard to quantify. It's really hard to quantify at this time because how do you track what are the processes in place for every company to ensure that the person they're hiring is not someone working from an enemy country. Let's just put it that way. Is this how you hire? If you have a company and you're thinking about outsourcing, do you look at these things? Do you look at how? Because some of these jobs they actually send some, not all of them. Sometimes you have to have the equipment, but some companies actually offer equipment. We will train you and we will send you equipment, and they'll put it in the mail, and then you get a tablet or some other. If you need a printer or a scanner, those jobs do exist out there. I don't know if there are a lot of them, but they do exist, and the money seems to be just right. They're consultant. It could just be a Korean language interpreter. Those are hard to find. I happen to know one. I got lucky in having that person in my contacts in case I need it for a client project. But just think about that. These are usually data analysts, business development management. A lot of them are in California. That's the spooky part. This is DOJ may say so, but if you start looking, some of these defense contractors, I recognize their big name. Some I don't know them. There may be smaller ones, and it's the same. It's the same story every time. And the two people who were picked up in January as part of this scheme are U.S. nationals. They may be Koreans of Korean descent, but they're U.S. nationals. And this is it's becoming pretty disturbing that every time you turn around, there's some sort of a byproduct of lacking in cybersecurity for any company or even government agency. And some of these places are like shutting down a scheme this is really hard to shut down because how do you monitor this? Exactly, that's what I will be asking. And getting remote work, it produces tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in payoffs for each party, depending who's handling what. And this is going from 2018 to 2024. They had another scam that it had at least 64 U.S. companies. That could be the company you're working for right now. Not even sure. How would you know? When you go to the security person and they're very nice, and then you get your laptop set up and all your electronics, and you're thinking nothing to it. Okay, you set up the passwords and all that. The rabbit hole is pretty deep. These guys even had a third person who was caught, who was actually arrested and extradited from overseas for selling his own identity. Have you ever had your identity stolen? This guy actually sold his to afford, at least the North Koreans, to forge identities of real people, and you use it in order to gain access to these companies and get those jobs. So if you were thinking of applying, I don't know. I think the North Koreans got your remote jobs. And the question now is, how do these companies, in particular, and not just the Fortune 500, that just they got money to pay for security, but security sometimes a violation or a vulnerability presents itself in a different way. This is one of those different ways. Not the usual hacking. Yeah, they have computers belong to a company that could easily hack other systems. That's been compromised, but they can also do other damage. They can totally do damage to product, production. I could go on and on about this. And just Monday, and today is what, Wednesday? We're getting closer to Independence Day weekend, and the North Koreans are constantly stealing people's identities in the United States. So every time you get maybe a phishing scam or a weird text, you start blocking them. I get them all the time. I see them with weird addresses. That's more than likely that's part of that campaign. Just block that stuff, If you receive it on a company phone, report it immediately. Just take it to your security. Just tell them, take a look at it. I keep getting these texts. I don't respond to them. I know somebody actually responded to a scheme, a call, and call back. Please don't do that. Don't further compromise whatever little control you have over your data or your devices. And that goes for a private citizen, and that goes for someone at work using their work devices. Under no circumstances do you need to sacrifice the security and tell anyone anything. Just hang up or just let it go to voicemail. That's what I do. Then I check them later, and I have voice transcription for the voicemail, and I see it, and I see there's just going to be a scheme call that I don't need, and I just block the number. I keep tabs on that stuff. I think people should pay more attention to this. I really do. Because just last year, what is it? The North Koreans took 80 U.S. persons' identities, and they have help on 6 people throughout the United States. So there are people willing to sell out to make money. Doesn't surprise me. It's human nature that you're going to have people who are sympathizing with their cause, whatever that cause is. The cause really is to make money for the person volunteering to do that. It's very worrisome. So go back to the last video. Just remember, bad guys can track what we do. That's already happening, has been happening, but it should really be more awareness about this problem. And as Monday, they have these other charges filed, and they're not saying which companies they are, but all they want to do is take money and send it to their government. This is to fund military operations. It's not to feed their people, because that's not what North Korea does. But anyone who's in IT who wants to work remotely, just keep an eye out for these job postings. I would not really trust them right now. I would not really file for anything just do that search like I did. Just put in North Korea or China if you want to, and remote, and see what pops up. And I'm not going to name the job platforms. I don't want to hurt other companies, but they will be listed. And these shell companies, you could easily be falling for that. So now something that seemed to be a convenience at one time, it has become more of a threat to just the average person looking for work online. Unless they're the guys who are actually engaging in this activity, and they're the only ones who benefit from it. So consider that a fair warning to always beware of whatever you find online that may seem good, sound good, but doesn't really pass the actual test of credibility. Research the company. If you still there are some remote jobs that may still be hybrid, that may still be legit. Just research the company, look at the job board to make sure that you get information about the company, how long it's been in operation, and what kind of industry they're in. If it's defense, there are going to be some keywords, and whether you're going to need to have a background investigation or anything like that. Then I would figure that's something that I would find safer, if that's something you qualify for, than just trying to pursue something that seems really good. The pay seems really high. Sometimes it says confidential. I would not apply for something like that. But generally, these may be front companies. Their websites don't really say a lot. And when I do other searches online, the company doesn't really pop up anywhere. It doesn't show a lot of activity. They have been in business for a while, and there's no transparency as to what this company's particular journey has been. And that's what I'm looking for. Something that has been well established. And I'm just gonna have to leave you with that thought, and just guard your information, guard your identity. Don't sign up for anything that says remote work, high pay. Really consider your qualifications and what it is you're truly looking for, and do your best not to fall for this, because you may not be one of those bad guys, but the company may not be legitimate. It's just best to avoid having this type of experience later on down the line, that this may not be actually that what you were searching, and find yourself in more trouble than you can imagine. That's all I got for you. I think that was quite enough to ruin a pre-holiday weekend. Take care. Don't forget to subscribe.